everything has purpose.
Yeah.
And it kind of like was a catalyst, even I'm not taking away from the fact that it's a painful experience, but it was almost like it opened the door for, because you gave yourself permission to fully feel that pain and go through that grief, then it went deeper and went into other areas of your life that needed that release and validation. And you were able to, because of that opening and trust in those energies in yourself, you were able to really clear out so much inside of you.
Yes. And at the end, what was so interesting, because there's always this, like, there's the intensity of the wave and you can feel it move out as you allow it. And then at the end, what was so interesting that I had never experienced before was the human part of me was like, that was so intense and I'm exhausted. But the soul part of me was just deeply fulfilled.
Yes.
Like soul fulfilling, that I allowed all of that I made room to honor the emotional part of me. And I made time and space for that. And that soul fulfilling experience built trust in myself, that I have my back, that I love me enough to really allow myself to go there in the right time and space. And it was in my home, in a safe space. I had one friend there that just could hold good space for me. And it was a safe, comfortable space for me, in the perfect place to have that experience. And I'll never forget it. I still can feel that, like, I am fully, like, from this day forward, fully allowing my soul to have the fullest human experience.
Fullest experience.
Yeah, it was incredible.
And if you think about kids too, right? They experience such an intense emotion and then it's gone.
Yeah.
But how often we don't allow ourselves to fully feel it, and then we hold on to it, or we over-identify, making it mean this is who I am because of this. So maybe you're feeling very heavy one day. It's like, oh, I'm depressed.
Right.
And then everything you do, you give yourself that label, which then causes you to feel more like that.
Right.
But you're not able to step aside and give yourself permission to see something else.
Yes. This is such a good point. And I love this, especially being certified in hypnosis. There are certain words that actually, if we use, anchor things into the subconscious mind more. So when we say things like, I am depressed, I am starts anchoring that into your subconscious mind.
Like, I am exhausted.
I am exhausted.
Oh, that's the worst
Or
one.
yes. Those kinds of things. Pay attention to the power of your language. Even in that, I'm feeling keeps it at the space of, it's not defining me, but I'm feeling, or I'm experiencing sadness. I'm experiencing disappointment right now. Give me a minute. You know, it's like those kinds of things. Just even switching our language is really powerful for our mind to put emotions in their rightful place, which is so powerful and really, it's incredible.
It's not like you're going through throwing a fit, being inappropriate, doing things that are in inappropriate spaces.
No.
There are tools where you can fully feel things. And what I love is that you'll say, well, give me a minute. I'm feeling, or I'm experiencing this. Give me a minute and I will get back to you.
Yes.
And then you remove yourself from that environment and you into a safe space, either with a friend or by yourself, or where you can fully feel, express, maybe journal write. There's other, depending on the situation. But you're able to release that experience and then give your soul permission to fully feel the energy and the emotion that is going through you. And that's what I love about what you're saying, is you're not saying, hey, just go around crying and
like cry anywhere, everywhere,
do
and
whatever,
share everything, and open your whole heart to everyone. No, there are healthy ways to go about it.
The right
People
to hear
do
your story.
They get to earn it and deserve it.
Yes. And so the other thing that I loved about what you brought up was this euphoric thing that you can feel. And what's a lot of people don't realize that this is what happens when you approach your feelings without judgment and with compassion and curiosity, and you give yourself full permission. It's like you can cry and wail and you can go deeply into this experience. In fact, I had this experience many years ago where I had such intense emotion after working with a shaman, doing a soul retrieval, and she told me that things were going to shift after that soul retrieval, and I had no idea. But anyway, I came home, and all of a sudden here it came. The parts of myself that fragmented off because of pain or trauma were back to be felt fully.
Yeah.
And so because I had the tools, I was able to fully give myself permission. I was crying so hard I couldn't stand, and my face was, I was face planted right in the carpet. And I couldn't get up.
Yeah.
And I was making crying and sounds that I'd never made, the wailing sounds that I've never made before. And it was interesting. I had this moment where there was a recognition, and that it was like I was fully present with it, fully into it. And all of a sudden it was like I was hearing myself crying and wailing. I'm like, who is the one that is hearing myself? Because when I was in that observation and recognition, there was such peace and calm in that observer energy. And I was like, wait a minute. So that's me. And so it was an interesting energetic experience, because it was like I could hear, it was like I was at the eye of a hurricane where I could hear the storm of emotion was swarming around me, and I could see my stories and the wailing and the trauma. And I'm at the center of this calm energy, just this observer. And it was so amazingly, weirdly euphoric.
Yes.
In the midst of my pain. And I thought, oh, so my soul is longing for the full experience.
Yes.
And it doesn't define me
on
any level. I got to experience that. But there's something in me that's unchanging.
Yes, the soul.
Yes, that's beautiful.
And it was extremely powerful. And there was only one way to get there.
Yep.
And that recognition, it was right through like the eye of the needle.
The storm.
It was like,
oh, I call it buffalo courage. Buffalo courage.
Yes.
Like that is what you summon to feel emotions. Buffaloes actually are very different than cows. When they feel a storm coming, they'll turn and run to it and through it. Really? Cows will run from it. And it's so similar to emotions. When you run from your emotions, trust me, I did it for several years, lots of years. It gets worse.
Yes.
It actually is harder. You get, I gained extra weight, emotional eating, numbing, situational depression, anxiety. There was so much there that I experienced. And when I finally gathered that courage, that buffalo courage to go in, to feel the emotions, I actually remember the moment. I remember the moment I was in a class, and we were going back to where things came from, like this idea that we've been carrying and where it initially came from. And I was like, I know what this means. If I open that box and I go into those emotions, I had so much fear of like, I'm going to get lost in it. It's going to take me away. I'll never get out. I'm so scared. And I was just this puddle, of just emotions, and I'm scared, but something is calling me into that storm.
It's like in Frozen, just come.
Yes.
Come experience.
Yes. And I was so grateful that I dove in. And said, I'm opening that box. I'm going in and learning too. I'm not going in to live there. I'm going in to sort some things out, to bring love to that space, because that's what many of us, what's interesting is emotions wire the brain, right? That's what the studies are showing. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks so much about this. And as children, a lot of us were emotionally conditioned to suppress. How many of us experienced deep disappointment for something we were so excited about got canceled, and we just, fall on the ground crying, and then we're spanked and sent to our rooms because we're crying. So many of us experienced things like that, or experienced any type of intense emotion, and then we were reprimanded for it. And so our brains, there's this little person inside of us that's like, it's not safe. I can't feel this. It makes me bad. And if we can address those things and bring love, I remember at first there was tons for me of a man won't love me if I am emotional, and bringing love to those spaces, being so like giving myself what I wanted in those moments. And that's actually what saved me through the last couple of years, the divorce and all of the intensity of these huge life events in a short amount of time, these huge shifts, is I had set time on my way home from work to cry it out. And I'd cry and I'd out loud, like verbally in my car, like, I'm in so much pain and this hurts so much. And I feel like a disappointment and I feel not enough. And I'm hurting everyone. And it's better if I'm not here. And there's all these things that would just come out. And then I'd take a moment and I'd place my hand on my heart and I'd say, and these words were just so beautiful. You're doing so good at this human thing, Dana. I'm so proud of you. You're so brave for feeling this. You're so incredible for doing this. And it was some of the most sacred moments to, for the first time in my life, offer myself the love that I needed as a child, that I wanted as a teenager, that I want as an adult. And it was so, so beautiful it built confidence and an inner strength like I have never experienced before, where I know I can do and make it through any hard thing because I have my back now. Yes. I don't need other people. I can count on me. And it's nice to have other people. But different people are showing up for me now in my life that are more loving, more generous, because I do that for me. It starts inside and then the outside reflects, right?
Beautiful.